Terminus S is leaving the warp in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
How's it going, everybody? It's Emanuel, and we're back. So, this will be our very first episode of our currently unnamed YouTube channel because we haven't come up with a super awesome name yet. And we wanted to give you our pre-game kind of feelings, what our list is, what we're doing. With me today, I have the one, the only,
Chris Nelson.
Chris Nelson. Now, Chris is going to be our host. He's going to ask us questions. He's going to tell us a little bit about, each of our lists, kind of from his experience as well. And then I also have Trevor Bond. Trevor. Trevor has been, if you've ever watched a video that I've done at some point, you've seen Trevor's models, you've seen Trevor's play, and you've probably seen Trevor's beautiful face. So we're going to just roll right into it.
Alright, so we're playing a 2,000 point game, ITC Mission 1. We've got the brand new Tau Codex, which just dropped yesterday. Trevor is bringing some of that. Trevor, why don't you tell us a little bit about your list?
So I figured everyone likes Tau because of the suits. That's why I like Tau. That's why Daemon likes Tau / hates Tau. It's probably why Chris likes Tau, let's be honest. Everyone likes suits, so I brought suits. I like to call it Titanfall 40k because it's got ghost kills in it and they're very Titanfall looking models. And it's got enough fire warriors in it to be pilots if you've ever played Titanfall. The idea basically is to try out Borkon's new Sept rule, which is plus 6 inches of range on all heavy and rapid fire weapons, which is frankly probably obscene. It's going to be great.
I'm sorry. I'm good. Go.
Right. And
I was just going to say, so why don't you run down what kind of, how are you going to be taking advantage of that? What kind of heavy and rapid fire weapons do you have in your list today?
Alright, so we have the pulse rifles on the fire warriors themselves, going all the way up to 36-inch range on your basic infantry weapon. We have the ghost kills with the cyclic ion rakers. They're going to go up to a respectable 30 inches. And the ion cannon that the Riptide carries also gets another 6 inches of range. Plus, it's going to be extra fun with the new double Nova Charge stratagem where he can get his 3+ invuln and make that thing heavy 6 every single shot. So that'll be pretty fun. Then we've also got probably my favorite new gimmick, the Cold Star Commander, who is my warlord, with 3 plasma rifles and a shield generator. Now, he's also my warlord, which means he's going to take the Exemplar of Montcall warlord trait, and he's going to move 40 inches a turn and still shoot with no penalty. It's pretty great.
All right, so you've seen Emanuel's list. You know he's got Mortarion. Mortarion obviously has a huge target on his back. What's sort of your game plan going into the game exactly? Kind of what are you going to do to sort of try to mitigate the damage that Mortarion can potentially do? Sort of what's your plan? Are you gonna, kind of
How do you see it going?
stick your fire warriors out there to take the brunt of it?
Just
since
stick your fire warriors out
they're
there.
probably not going to do a whole
Just
lot
lay
against
it
things like
on
the
table.
Mortarion and the Plagueburst crawlers.
So the game plan is, I'm a lot faster than Emanuel is. I can pretty much run circles around his entire list, even the fast stuff like his drones and Mortarion. I can move my Cold Star 40 inches a turn. The Riptide can move like 18 or something like that. The Ghost Kill is similarly very fast. And we have the new boost stratagem to move away again. Thank you for almost bringing back Jump Shoot Jump.
Jump, shoot, jump.
So the game plan is mostly to not lose on scenario and shoot Emanuel.
Sounds good. All right, Emanuel, why don't you tell us a little bit about your list? Sort of, what do you got? Why'd you take things?
So my list is kind of a threefold milk stool, if you will. Most importantly, it's an adaptation of the Daemons, Nurgle Deamons list that you've been seeing going on, a la Don Husen. Shout out to Plaguecasters, that podcast coming at you soon. So, I brought 4 Plagueburst crawlers. I don't have the whole kit and caboodle, but I find 4 gives me a lot of firepower to concentrate on individual targets that I feel are going to be a threat to Mortarion. And as I find those HVTs, I try to leverage that firepower. Most importantly, the list being centered around Mortarion. I've been playing him a long time. I probably played him in more games than any other model just because I like it so much. I wanted to kind of crack the code with him. And so with him, I always run some drones. They're good interference with him. They go and hit hard. And there's some wombo combo in there. I like to stack Blades of Putrefaction, Virulent Blessing, and the Locust of Nurgle onto Bloat-drone and just have him go ham with his 9 attacks. See how many 6s I can get and just put in a lot of damage on a big target. Plus they blow up, and everybody likes things that blow up. I do. Mortarion's in there. He's kind of a switchblade piece. He's got a lot of support in him. I also made him my Warlord Fart Contaminator. I'll tell you why after the game. And he can kill a lot of troops. He can kill heavy armor. He can be really hard to kill himself. And he's really fast and mobile. So whatever I need him to be in this game, that's what he's going to be. And then my Demon Princes specifically, they're kind of my linebackers here. They're my interference. They hit hard, they hit fast, they have spells, they have good saves, they hit accurately, they let me reroll, and they're going to get in there and help ramp up that Epidemius count, because Epidemius is in there, and even the very first couple buffs are really key. It's kind of like he's got early, mid-game, and late buffs, and they have all come into play well. That one I'm really going to be looking for, though, is I want to get to that +1 toughness, because all of the other ones are great, but the +1 toughness goes really far for the Plagueburst crawlers and Mortarion and the drones, because they go from being reasonably hard to kill to exceptionally hard to kill. So that's kind of my MO with what I've brought to the table.
All right. So what about that extra 6 inches that the boar concept is adding? Is that making you wonder a little bit? Is that extra distance that he's clearly with the Plagueburst crawlers, especially with the spitters? You want to get it in close with your drones. Mortarion, of course, wants to get in close. Do you think closing the gap is going to be a difficult feat, or do you think you're going to be able to steamroll right in there?
Closing the gap is always the hardest thing when it comes to playing Tau, and in my experience, you're going to eat those shots whether you close the distance or not, so you have to kind of plan accordingly. And so my goal is to create the proper distancing, where I know that some models are going to be able to greater good into me as I get into close melee. I'm going to absorb a lot of shoots on the approach as it is, so I have to choose which models are going to be eating the Overwatch and the greater good shots, and which models are going to be outside of that bubble, because if I can concentrate on any particular part of the board, then maybe I can minimize greater good, where if you try to kind of say just do my line versus his line, everybody's getting greater good and everybody's shooting your shit, and that's not good.
Now, we're going with scenario 1, so there are going to be 6 objective markers out there. You have a low model count army. Are you worried about how exactly you're going to be able to keep up with primary, because he has far more units and a lot more units to just kind of throw away, much cheaper units that he can just, it's not going to be a big deal if he doesn't throw them right into the middle of things. You can just kind of have them hanging out on an objective. Is that going to be difficult for you, or do you think you're going to be able to mitigate that somehow?
It's really going to depend on who gets to go first, I think. If you really think about how the pace is going to go, yes, he's got more models than me up front. I got a 10-drop list, he's got a 12-drop list. He's got a lot of troops like Fire Warriors to get out there and hold objectives. However, we'll see how the attrition slide goes, because if I can out-attrition him as the game goes on, I'll be killing and holding more, and he'll be killing less and holding less. But if he goes first and he gets to pick up that pace early and he's holding off on objectives on me, it's going to be really hard to beat the attrition slide and be able to get over top of that hump on points. So expect my points to probably come in late game, and I'm going to clutch a close victory over Trevor by a couple points, because that's how Death Guard do.
All right, well, any last words before we get to it?
Good luck.
You made it.
Let's do it.
How's it going, everybody? We're going to go into the model selection now. Alright, so I have a Spearhead Detachment, and it is basically my Death Guard soup, as I like to call it, just because I brought my 4 Plagueburst crawlers. I have 2 with entropy cannons, and I have 2 with Plaguespitters. Although I have Rothail volley guns modded on all of them, 2 of them have Rothail volley guns, and then the 2 that have entropy cannons have heavy stubbers. Down here, we got my 2 Bloat-drones that have Fleshmowers. They're just super cheap, and they get in there and do work. They're also part of that wombo combo damage that we're going to talk about later. I got my Demon Prince Death Guard, who's got the Suppurating plate and an axe. And then my Chaos Sorcerer CSM, who makes it Chaos Soup because he wanted to come along. I have Prescience, Warptime, and next to him I have my Poxbringer. He's a Chaos Sorcerer from Forge World with the Nurgle Herald's head on him. Just really wanted to Nurgle Death Guard my Poxbringer. Next to him we've got my Demon Prince of Chaos and my Nurgle Supreme Commander Detachment. He's got 2 Malefic Talons, and he has Virulent Blessing as his spell. Next to him we have my super awesome modded Epidemius on his Hell Dragon there. And then next to him we have Mortarion. And so that's my demons list.
Hey guys, I'm bringing the new Tau to the mix here today. Let's go ahead and take a look at what I brought. I'm playing the Borkon set. We have 2 squads of Fire Warriors. The unit leader does have a Market Light as well. Crisis Bodyguards with a Plasma Rifle, Flamethrower, and Shield Generator each. A Cold Star, who can now have War Gear, so he's got 3 Plasma Rifles and a Shield Generator. Hiding back here in the trench, there is a Cadre Fireblade stand-in, because who owned those before this edition? I have 2 Ghost Keels. They have Shield Generators, Stim Injectors, Fusion, Cyclic Ion Rakers, and Burst Cannons each. The ever-present might of the Riptide, of course, standing here in the middle. We all know what he does. And he has a Stim Injector as well. 3 squads of Stealth Suits, and then 2 squads of Crisis Suits that will be what they're supposed to be once I can find the bits to give them all 2 Plasma Rifles each. And that's what I brought.
Alright, we're back. We finished the game. Here's the recap.
Alright, so we wound up calling the game about halfway through turn 3. At that point it was pretty inevitable that the Tau were going to be tabled on the following turn, and there wasn't really much that Trevor could do in the way of getting more points. So we just called it there. Trevor, what were sort of your feelings about the game and how it went?
In general, I think against any army less durable than the Death Guard, they're just going to get blown away by how much high-powered shooting the Tau had to put out on the table. Part of the problem is when you have strength 9 guns all over the place into toughness 8 stuff and you can't roll a 3, it was bad. But that said, he did play very well, and he did push me in a lot of spots that my list couldn't react to. But that said, holy crap, is he hard to hurt.
So, what do you think you would do differently? If you could do one thing differently in the game, what would it be?
I would have a different list. Absolutely, I would have more rail weapons. Rail guns on hammerheads or rail rifles from Pathfinders, probably necessary to crack something as tough as the Death Guard.
Didn't quite feel that the ion stuff was really cutting it against the Death Guard.
Even with overboosting and just being lots and lots of strength 9 overboosted shots, without the ability to just get past some of their saves by inflicting the mortal wounds from railguns, it's hard. You just can't hurt them.
Yeah. Another problem was that the Riptide didn't even get to fire, so he went down before he could do any damage.
So going into this game, I knew from past experience, both with Tal and with Trevor, that if I ignore the Riptide for whatever reason, I suffer for it greatly. And I have chased that guy to no ends. And so this game, I had to choose. I was going to make a gambit. And I was going to send in Mortarion, even if it cost me Mortarion, across the table to go take out the Riptide. I figured great distraction Carnifex if I do get the Riptide down, because then there's a lot to him shoot at, and if not, the Riptide has to deal with Mortarion, and so he's my tough nut anyways. And I hinged a lot of things on this, so it took a lot of rolling to make sure it happened, but I put myself in a position to where if I failed any part of it, I probably could have backed off and waited a turn. But I moved Mortarion up to the middle of the table, and then I cast Virulent Blessing on him. I cast Blades of Putrefaction.
Not putrefaction.
And then I cast Miasma Pestilence on him, so he was really hard to kill, and he's going to kill whatever he touched. And then I Warptimed him another 12 inches. And so this got me in charge range of the Ghost Keel. I could have failed this charge. However, fortunately, the distance he put his Fire Warriors right in front, and the fact that he was going to greater good into me anyways, I just multi-charged everything and said if I fail to charge the Ghost Keel, I have all of these troops here that I can just scythe into anyways. But I got the charge. He did 6 damage to me on the Overwatch. I got in there and did, because of Virulent Blessing and because of Blades of Putrefaction and all the bonuses that I got from rolling 6s or 5s, I was able to kill the Ghost Keel down, or the Riptide rather. Riptide down to exactly how many points I needed to kill him. And so right there, I was up a lot. I had a central stage in the back of his table, and the rest of my position was mostly just to move up onto objectives and lay down some fire on what he did put on the table. Over half of his list was deep striking, so I kind of had to wait for him to dictate to me what the tempo was going to be. And because of that, I moved Epidemius into the middle of the table, I moved my Springer into the middle of the table, and just kind of fanned out from there. 1 drone and a Demon Prince to the left flank, 1 drone and a Demon Prince to the right flank to go cover my fast attackers. And that was the first turn for sure.
So where did you feel that, now you didn't even lose a model, right?
I didn't lose a single model.
If I'm not mistaken. Where did you feel that your list was sort of potentially weakest? Where do you think maybe he should have attacked that he shouldn't, or that he wound up not doing, or
Well, you know, in his situation, I don't play Tal, and so this is purely from an opponent looking at his strategy and saying, what would I have done to beat me? And when I play, I like to refuse flank. I like to pick a flank and say, this is my flank, and I'm going to own that flank, and whatever comes onto this flank, I'm going to deal with. And it also allows me to pick 2 flanks behind me that my opponent really can't come from unless they deep strike into it, and even then I can mitigate some of that. And so if I were him, I probably would have refused flank, put all my deep strikers, or most of my deep strikers, on one side, and picked a side of the board where I would own those objectives and make that my base of operations, whatever it took. The way I had spread out in the kind of circular pattern that you'll see in the pictures and the videos, I wanted to create enough buffer around the middle of the table to where he had to deal with the things on the outside that were bigger threats anyways. And doing so, I also made myself very weak to being pressure pointed. And so if he capitalized on that and made a pressure point and overcome that pressure point, I would have had to adapt my strategy and do something different.
All right. Well, do we have any other thoughts on the game?
I would like to point out real quick that all 6 of those wounds on Mortarion came from Fire Warriors. The Riptide did not put a single wound out there.
It's true.
Just 69 shots from Fire Warriors. About a 10% wound rate.
All right.
Yep. I would say, hindsight, the list did exactly what I wanted it to. It played exactly how I had thought it would. I could see some potential weaknesses from other lists that I may have to try to shore up. And there's a lot of redundancy in the list, which gives me some flexibility to potentially grow it further. The things that I like about the list most, it's extremely tough. Like the list is like 130 wounds, 126 of them is disgustingly resilient. Everything is toughness 6, 7, 8, and it goes up by 1 with Epidemius. Everything has high strength, everything hits really accurately, everything hits really hard. So I have to make sure that I prioritize my targets because my number of attacks is very concentrated as well. But if I can hurt and destroy the things that would otherwise destroy Mortarion and my tanks, because it's very specific, then I can probably overcome the attrition scale. However, if my opponent were to bring enough railguns and everything to just blow me off the table, they're playing into the one thing that they need to be able to bring to beat me, which they would have the answer to my anvil, they'd have the right hammer. And then if my opponent, say, were to bring a swarm, that could potentially bog me down and out of scenario, and I would have to figure out how to overcome that. And then heavy alpha strike list. I said in the pregame that rolling to go first was going to matter a lot in this game, and it absolutely did.
Oh yeah.
Had I not won to go first, it could have been a very, very different game, and you would have got at least one turn out of your Riptide. Alpha strike army that goes first could potentially really be a big problem. But other than that, I'm going to continue to pilot this list and different variations of it, so you guys will see me play, hear more. And if you want to talk about it, reach out and we'll get all Death Guard on it.
Yeah, I had just one more question for Trevor about just kind of how does the new book feel in general? What of the units that you took, what did you like? Which units did you not like? Which were kind of meh?
So the Ghost Keel, holy crap, guys! The Ghost Keel is outstanding now. Especially so, the board concept is hands down my favorite. The plus 6 inches of range on everything is great. Sticking that with Ghost Keels so that their Cyclic Ion Raker is a 30-inch range heavy gun that always gets 6 shots. You can overcharge it, and no matter how many ones you roll on accident, you still only take a 1 mortal wound. You can put shield generators on it now. You can give it the stim injector from the index. That's per the same ruling that keeps the Storm Shield Librarian in the game. You can still give it the stim injector, so you're getting, 10 4-up invul and save, 5-up feel no pain, pass off wounds to drones, wounds on a gunboat that hits really hard. I mean, it's 6 strength 9 shots a turn per model, plus the burst cannons on the shoulders. This thing is outstanding.
And they're hardy as hell. Like, they're hard to kill for a Tau model.
They were some of the last things left alive, so they did survive. All right.
I do have one caveat, and I had mentioned this at the end of the game that I wanted to say it because I wanted to bring it up after our last Tau game too that has nothing to do with this game. But in general, I've seen this a couple times from Tau players or people who play a lot of flying, is that towards the end of the game, once I start pushing my circle outward, it seems to be the inevitable response is that they back out. And they push back and try to keep shooting. And I would hazard to say that you should go the opposite direction. Go over my models, or towards the center of the table, or towards a direction that brings you closer to the objective, because both times your models went directly away from the conflict.
Actually, I had to. So the way that falling back works, I can't land too close to you. So there is a distance I must be away from you when falling back in order for it to be legal falling back. Even though I'm flying, I have to be far enough away from you.
And I still think that you probably could do that and still find yourself in the fight. I would just say that keep that in mind when you're falling back, to fall back in a way that is not just taking you out of the fight. Because in both locations and where you retreated into the building, I've actually seen you do that before where you're just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm in the building now. And that's fine to bunker up, but in the end of the game, is that going to achieve you the points and the scoring and the objectives that you need?
Yes, because I had recon.
And
that was actually the goal, was to score recon as often as possible because killing your stuff is incredibly hard.
Yeah. So just food for thought.
Also on the sort of as you're kind of increasing the diameter of your circle as you sort of move out. If you move inward, part of the benefit of your moving out is that you start tagging all of those objectives around. You start getting the bonus points, stuff like that. If he moves inward, you get away from those 9-inch Plaguespitters as well, and it makes it a lot more difficult for the Plagueburst crawlers with the spitters and the assaulted units to achieve both of those things. So.
Absolutely, very good observations. Well, that's it for this game, and our next game, I believe, is going to be Necrons versus Eldar.
Sure.
Well, we already know he's playing Necrons. So the question is, what are you playing?
I'll bring Eldar.
Eldar. Okay, so then when the new Necron Codex hits, expect to see an Eldar versus Necrons episode following this one, hopefully in the near future.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Take care.
Terminus S is leaving the warp in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.